Why don't we start her up and go forward with Stacy and I leading the charge. I did share a outline of I'm just pulling it up, and I did share an outline of just to kind of keep us on path today. So, Jonathan Rose, Stacy, this is my office. This is where I'm always working and work's under my feet. We wanted to we wanted to get together and for these Wednesdays calls, and Stacy and I have been talking about this. We can really help when we know about your positions and when we can give you some more specific feedback. Where it's difficult to help is just, if PSX is rallying, should we get out here? It's just tough. So also wanted to use this as just go through the plan for today is I'd love for each person to go through, spend whatever time you want, keep it kind of under 5 minutes to introduce yourself and talk a little bit, but, share whatever you'd like. I'd love to know when you started trading, kind of like, why you trade, what's your objective, and anything else that you'd like to share. And then we could just go there. Maybe, Dave, why don't we start with you and we'll pass the torch to Tom Tomlinson after and go from there. Cool.
We're going by age down, apparently. So, let's see. I've been around the block more than once or twice. So I actually started my career, 40 years ago at Chemical Bank of New York, which was a predecessor of JP Morgan Chase. I did everything from cost accounting and strategic planning all the way through. At the end, I was actually hedging our mortgage-backed security originations, or our mortgage originations that we were going to securitize into some sort of mortgage-backed security. So I probably placed my first trade, maybe 1987, 1988, something like that. After that, I've worked for a bunch of and owned, been a partner in a manufacturing company. We make kind of plumbing type products. I work for a nutritional products company. I ran a small leak detection company for a while, and I've sort of been doing this kind of stuff for probably close to 10 years, give or take.
Very cool. All right. Tom, is it cool? We're going to pass it to, there you go. Hey, Tom, how are you? I can hear you. You sound great.
I'm in Starbucks too, so if there's background noise, I apologize.
I like those refreshers.
Yeah, so my name's Tom Tomlinson. I've been with MIT for about coming up on 2 years. I had worked corporate, like IT jobs, computer stuff, for probably 20 years. And I was able to quit that last year in May and trade full time. So I guess my goal now is just to keep doing this, never have to go back to an office.
That's awesome, Tom. What have you gravitated to? Like you've seen people come in the room, come out of the room. Like, is there a trade that you're always comfortable with or that you always end up turning to?
So it took me a while to figure this all out, that there's really like a couple trades that you just got to wait for, right? So like crack spread trade, turkey trade, the long options have been good now. And I'm starting to do the bond futures. So that's kind of where I'm interested right now.
That's cool. Yeah, there was the trade yesterday I thought was a great example of just being able to take advantage of bond movement into Fed.
Right.
So Alex, thanks for bringing that up too. That was very, very cool. Is Alex on? I don't think he is. Cool. Thomas Cox. Hey, bud.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Thanks for coming.
Good. Thanks for holding this session.
Yeah.
I'm a software engineer by trade. Slowly easing into retirement. I'm 74 years old, still doing some of the software programming. But I signed up originally with you and Active Day Trader in 2015. And my goal was to try to get some tools in place so that when I had time to trade, I would be able to take advantage of those tools. And in terms of what you offer, things have changed quite a bit now in MIT, but what appeals to me is the unusual options activity trades and the edge that I think it gives us. And that's where I've been focusing my efforts. I have a small trading account I set aside from my retirement account so that the trading is not taxed, and I'm using that to experiment with.
So Thomas, feel free to, share some of, and I thank you for sending over an email. And Thomas has been with us, obviously, for 8 years now. What have you been struggling with? Because especially, I was just looking over the trades, and the last 10 trades have been good. It's just a matter of holding them and being around when it moves. Talk to me. What's been going on?
Because I'm trading out of my IRA, I'm limited. I can't sell stocks that haven't already bought, so that makes it hard to do gamma scalping. So for managing trades, I've been selling off some of my option position to get a free trade when I can. That seems not to have happened all that often. There are a lot of trades that are on the books as winning trades. They did go up at some point. They may not have gone up. I may have gone back down again by expiration, and I missed them for that reason. And they didn't go high enough that I could sell it to make it a free trade. So in the end, I'm kind of near a wash. I'm not at this point earning enough to be able to supplement my IRA as I was hoping. So any advice you can give in terms of trade management, given the limitations of my IRA, would be useful.
Sure. Especially now that we're all together, I definitely have my feedback, but I feel like, especially if you've been with me since 2015, you've heard a lot of my responses. So I think this is an opportunistic time to anybody else in the room, please have an open forum. Any thoughts?
Can I jump in for a second? Thomas, the one thing that sort of struck me with what you were saying was that you're always trying to look for that free trade. And I do the same thing. But I'll be honest with you, when I first started, I was trading a relatively small account. And if I saw a trade that relatively quickly went up 20%, 25%, 30%, 40%, I would take some cookies off the table. I didn't necessarily wait for a free trade every single time. And I missed out on some big winners, but it also did two things for me. One, it has helped me build my smaller account, but probably more importantly, gave me confidence and would allow me to string, 3, 4, 5 winners in a row, sometimes relatively quickly, sometimes not waiting for 100% or a huge winner, and also not being kind of held hostage by the pullback. And then I could always watch and get back in again. So some people may trade differently than that, but I'm sort of a conservative guy. And if I get a 30, 40% gain, I'm trying to book some profits there and manage around that.
Yeah, that sounds like good advice. Because there have been a number of times that they've gone up 20, 30, 40%, but not 100%. And they've gone back down to worthless and sat there instead of what we'd hoped, which is peaking sometime around expiration. So I can do that, and I think that will make a difference. And of course, some of the big winners too have taken off by the time we have the meeting on Monday, and the recommendations went out Friday or sometime during the weekend. And by Monday, when we've had our session, the prices on those options have climbed well beyond the entry point that's recommended. So I just haven't chased them. Had I chased them, I might have had some really good winners there. But I don't like to do that.
oh yeah, we don't want you to chase at all. But I think this comes down to, well, Thomas, this might help as well. I would think about your trades as one trade. And if your account's, whatever your account's at $3,000, I would trade the account. And so rather than waiting for a free trade for this and trying to make X percentage on that, I would have the goal of the account growth. And like sometimes when things are moving and you don't want to lock in a profit, well, if your account is 3,000 and the goal is to get it up to 3,500, it doesn't matter what's trading. The market's not real. What's real is your $3,000 in your account. And I think I speak in little slang because I've just been in the business for so long, but that's what I mean by getting on prints. Sometimes when you see those really big moves, get on prints. And you could also, that's a form of gamma scalping as well, where if you buy an option for $1 and you sell it for $1.50, and then it goes back down, you have the option to get back in. And so maybe just being a little bit tighter and locking in profits is kind of what you need right now.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah, just a thought. And again, the whole idea is for us to come together in this kind of forum to have these kind of conversations and hopefully circle back and get the benefits from them. So, Thomas, thanks for sharing. I'm going to keep it moving. Greg, I'd love you to share if you're open to it.
No, of course. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning, Stacy. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm fighting a cold, so hopefully I'll make it through this without coughing in everybody's ear. But been with Jonathan now for 2 months, I think. Been a lurker. I've traded the market. I've traded options off and on, nothing real serious throughout my life. But in a position now where a friend and I own a couple of businesses. We're starting to sell off a couple. And so I've got more free time, and looking to the future, I want to take control of my own future and really learn how to trade, not just, a buddy said, buy ABC company because he think it's going to go through the roof and hopefully hit or not, and as I hopefully in the next year or two kind of settle into retirement as we divest of the rest of the businesses, I love the mental challenge that the trading brings and learning markets. I love business and understanding business and just trying to obviously grow the portfolio. So coming into this with a little bit of a background in the markets and option trading and stuff, the first couple of days was like drinking through a fire hose. Where do I start? So I just had decided, I know options, or have a better understanding of options. So I spent the last month or so really digging through the options material on the site, following all the classes, just kind of being a lurker and listening to everybody. Everybody's got a little bit of a different style, which is awesome because to me, that's how I learn, right? Just kind of listening to different people. Have been doing some paper trading and actually placed my first real trade, just one contract for EQT, which is awesome. So I'm assuming that every single trade from this point forward is going to be like that, right?
Yes.
Good. And now Stacy and I have been emailing back and forth, and he's been fantastic with all the suggestions and everything. I'm now going to start to pick up on some bond. I understand bonds, but I've never traded bonds. So I'm going to start to put my toe in the water there while continuing to, on the option side, still want to learn position management, strategies, things like that. And like I said, I think, Jonathan, when you and I talked, we had talked about, well, maybe try for a couple months. And after the first couple of days, I was so glad I did it for a year, because this isn't a sprint, right? This is a marathon. This isn't a one. This is like, I think Tom said, this is going to be a 10-year, 20-year journey, hopefully for me to, because, the market changes every day. The world changes every day. So,
so true.
Having people around that are, one of the very first lessons I learned in life is always surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are. And so I'm just excited to be part of this, and I just appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. It make me very happy that we're doing this. And so, Stace, thank you for pushing me to do this. And we are definitely going to be doing, this will be a lot more commonplace And what Greg was talking about is we did talk on the phone, and he really wanted to learn and commit. And instead of joining for 6 months, he joined the coaching program for the full year, and he's in it for 2 months and just been going through the material and taking it slow. And Greg, I love your approach. I think it's important, especially where you're at right now, to really, recognize the position management. Just it's the same thing. It all goes back to that conversation with Thomas about it really comes down to managing your trading account and staying on the edges, whether you're trading bonds, whether you're trading options, right? Getting in at really good entry points. So
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, and then like Stacey and I have talked about, like having that kind of patience is not my strong suit. So that's the biggest thing that I need to work on. Not only patience for getting into trades, but patience for getting out of trades. So, again, watching and learning position management and how everybody else manages their portfolios has been a huge help for me.
Yeah, limit orders and ignoring and not paying close attention to it is the secret to me being able to hold trades. Let's keep it moving. Harry, hey, how are you? Harry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
When we come back to Harry, and let's move over to John. John Ford?
Whoa, can you hear me?
Perfectly. How are you?
Good. I'm well. Brief rundown. I've probably placed my first trade back in the 80s. Eventually got to be owning a broker-dealer, NASD registered broker-dealer. Did mostly junk bonds and municipal junk, and got a lot of experience trading bonds, but the way you guys do it, it's one of my goals is to really learn that, because I don't have a checking book. A checkbook would allow me to buy tons and tons of bonds at face value. So this is what you're doing really intrigues me. So one of my goals is to learn how to trade bonds the way you all do it.
Hey, John, did you set up an account with EdgeClear?
Not as yet.
Cool.
That's on my list of things to do. Especially
just starting out, having somebody that you could just call and ask basic account questions and get comfortable with margin. There's a lot of value in that.
Okay.
Sweet. All right, let's move over. John. Hey, John Stevenson.
Hey guys, it's great to be here. Thanks for having the group session. Good idea, and I look forward to more. And maybe when we get the camera fixed, we can take it to the next level. And maybe this will morph
baby steps
in person. That would be fun too. So anyway, thanks for putting this together, guys. So I'm a little embarrassed to say, but it's the truth. I first bought my first bond class from you, Jonathan, was in 2016. And I would be fully retired today had I stuck with it. But I was so overwhelmed, I just let it go. And I circled back about a year ago to say, all right, damn it, I'm ready. And then finally started taking action in March. So it takes me a while. And I am chagrined as I look at what I've learned in the past several months over what I've missed over the past several years. But I just take that as, okay, that's where we are, where I am at the moment with account balances, et cetera, and, move forward from there. And I've learned a lot in the past few months. There's a lot more to learn. And at first I was back in the 2016 and 2017, Jonathan, I was just overwhelmed. And I think that really just took me, I wasn't willing to take the time. And now I think with your approaches, they're more chopped down, like 5-star trades is in, the little sections. That's really helpful to me. I never liked the Facebook group. I don't like Facebook, and I never liked the Facebook group. The Discord is excellent, though, the way that we could communicate back and forth with everybody. That's been a huge difference that I have seen that I really like and really appreciate. So all of that's to say, I've been focusing mainly on options, and I've done some paper trading. I definitely want to do some more. I've taken a few real money trades, and I think I'm up, but I've lost some and made some actual money. Up in EQT today, which is fun, which I want to talk with you about in a minute about when we go to the managing it section. I've got some questions about that. And next is a circle around to bonds. I'm going to set up. I haven't set up my account with Ian yet, but it's on my list too. And I just really appreciate the community and the effort. It seems to me like, Jonathan, you're making a retail version of your hedge fund experience, and it's really great to be a part of that, because I feel like those of us as members can learn together from your background, and Stacy's been around forever, and Steve and Pablo, of course, has changed everything you've done with all his tools, and all of that seems to be really coalescing. So I'm thrilled with that. One of my favorite trades that I haven't done enough of is the crack spread. And man, I want to be a crack spread whisperer. For some reason, Jonathan, I just love that trade. It makes sense to me. It's easy. One of the questions I have about it, we can discuss it later, but is to trade it all the way down. You seem to mostly trade it all the way up. And if you look at the charts, it looks like there's a lot of opportunity as it falls. And I'd love to hear more about that at some time, not necessarily today, but I really want to focus on the crack spread and opportunities there, especially with more than just PCX, other crack spreads, other refiners. That really, really, really interests me at the moment. So hopefully, and one more thing. I'm in merchant services, I was in the mortgage industry, and they got flushed out in the 2008 crisis, and then entered merchant services in 2009. So I have a lot of free time. My time's real flexible. I work for myself, and I love the fact that I have the time to devote now that I did not have back in 2016. And I also have a Roth IRA that is, it's a small one, but it's getting bigger. And I love the concept of trading an account that I'm not going to be taxed on. So I'm like Thomas, I want to do more with that, and don't see too many limits in that account, but maybe I'm just unaware of what I should be aware of. But that's kind of a background. Hope that helps everybody.
That's great, John. I really appreciate you sharing as well. I could see that being. I trade my IRA as well, and even touching that topic on more is definitely seeing some overlaps here. So it's something that we'll surely be talking about. Keep it moving. Rodney, how you doing, buddy?
I don't think Rodney has a mic.
Oh, Mike.
So he says he's at work, no mic or camera.
Well, fist bump to you, Rodney. If we keep going down, for some reason, the other attendees, I'm not showing a camera. Can someone just throw in a chat if they'd like to speak next? I think we have 5 or 6 more people.
I don't see anybody else on my side that's on Zoom.
Oh, maybe these are Alex. Alex, are you here? Or Ed, but no Herb. Steve Williams. Steve, say hi, buddy. Are you on?
I think there are folks in Discord, but not necessarily on Zoom, huh?
Excellent. Okay. Well, that'll allow us to go to the next part of the outline. So let's let me see what we're doing next. If we want to, probably now it might be good to just do the open forum on questions about any active trades or open trades that we have open. I know there's quite a bit of discussion going on about EQT. What do you guys think?
That was great. It's John Stevenson. I'll jump in about EQT.
Do it.
I have 2 contracts in at 95, and now it's this is 43 43 strike in at 95, and I'm up. I could sell the 45s at 93 at the moment and have a free trade. I also had thought about selling the 46s and having an almost free trade. I've never heard you talk about that, Jonathan. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but those are my thoughts.
Hey, John, I'm going to share my screen right now.
Okay.
And I think it'd be cool to let's collectively go over this, and then anybody feel welcome to chime in, and let's look at this together. And if you wouldn't mind, I'm gonna have you repeat that.
Go ahead and repeat it now.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. What can you tell me the exact trade?
Yeah, it's EQT 43 strike in at 95.
Okay, in August.
September,
right?
Sorry.
Yeah, September.
Which is what was on the trade sheet on Monday.
Okay, just following the exact trade sheet on Monday.
Exactly.
And then overall, how's your trading been? Are things going okay?
In general, or about this trade?
In general.
In general, I've had some wins and some losses, and I think I'm up real money. I'm down in paper money because often I'll just experiment with paper money just to see what happens. So I don't care about trying to maintain a balance in paper. I want to more learn on paper. So I'm up in real money. I don't know exactly how much, but I trade like one or two contracts. I'm not doing any more than that in real money.
And John, I'm only asking to go back to that conversation of trading your account is going to be more important than trading the market.
Yes.
So EQT, the objective, you have 51 days to make money. So I look at it like that, right? There's so much time. 43 calls are up a bit, right? They're up a bit. You have so much time. So what I would do if I had a 2-lot and this was part of a 10 position portfolio, I would sell one. It's okay. I literally, if I was just building my account. Now, if I wasn't building my account, I would get out of the way and I'd be bigger and I wouldn't care. I would just embrace the time. But, we want to get on print. We want to lock in money. Sometimes I get concerned because some of these positions have so much time to go until expiration that if you keep tranching in, you end up feeling like a garbage collector. You just keep tranching in and keep tranching in. But that's where you have to manage the money that you have available to trade. And so if you're somebody who gets into a trade and in that trade, you're using 10% of your margin, 15% of your margin, and you have an opportunity to lessen it by adding some quick little money, great, do it. But it's like earn the right to trade bigger and hold things longer. But you do want to, have more than one, so you can hold that optionality. So you want to be in a position where you sell one, now you don't care if EQT goes to 30 or if it goes to 70. Great. Move on to your next one.
Great. That makes sense. You mentioned that earlier, trade the account. I really like that idea. That fits well for me right now. And I wish that I'd sold everything at noon today when it was almost double. But, that's also part of trading. You're never going to hit the highs or the lows. And I know that. And I'm, learning to take that in like, oh, darn, I wish I'd sold it at noon. But, here it is at 140 and it's not the end of the world. It's a 2-lot, So.
But But John, don't even think like it's not a lot of size or it's not the end of the world, because a 2-lot or 20-lot, there's no difference. So train yourself to just make good decisions over time, but also look at this perspective. You're saying that, bummer, I wish I would have gotten out an hour ago. There's 51 days until expiration,
Right.
right?
Right.
So don't react based upon what the market does. You have to stay in control. And so if you buy 2 like you did and it starts moving, that's when you put a limit order in. And if you get filled, great. It's some limit order, good till cancel. Like, okay, great. We're getting to a level. I want to get on Prince because I'm not going to allow it to turn and then chase.
Gotcha.
Does anybody else want to jump in or have any questions or, anything? We're all together now.
The other thing for me is I try to take the emotion out of it, because I go through the same thing, John. You see something going up and it pulls back and you're like, pardon my French, oh shit, I blew it, right? And so I try to look for more objective evidence, right? And that's where the tools come in, right? HVT and the Vol-Viz. And if I look at EQT and I look at both of those, it hit the weekly upper expected move right about the time you're talking about and pulled back a little bit. It also hit the upper bands on the daily, on the HVT, and pulled back. So to me, I'm looking for objective evidence to help me with this, otherwise an emotional decision, at least for me. And that's what I'm looking at. I mean, we're playing percentages here. And I know that the upper bands and the weekly or monthly expected move, if it hits those, we're more likely to get somewhat of a pullback than he prodded. No guarantee, but it's a good guidepost for me to say, okay, it's time to make a decision.
That's great. Thanks, Stacy.
EQT on that weekly has still got that sell signal as well. So just watch out for that. But yeah, good question now. Anybody, next question, you could say it in the chat or just jump in and start talking, whatever works for you. Rodney, nice. Rodney's just sharing that he got in EQT at $1.10 and out $1.90. So Rodney, great trade. For me, whenever I have that much time, I would always keep one, just to keep it honest. I don't know, it's just fun, because then EQT, you sell 5 at $1.90. If they go and they're offered at 20 cents with 20 days to go in expiration, sure, you would scoop a couple up. So just my thought process. Does anybody else want to jump in while we have you? Well, we're in it. Stacy, this was great. It's kind of what I have. We have Fed coming out in a little bit. If you're not in tune with the bond trades that we did going into Fed, I would strongly suggest rewatching the recording from last week's bond call, and also the conversation between Alex and I in the Fight Club. And then I also am coming out with a video of that trade as well. Just a very cool trade that you can do into big numbers, because there's just that expectation of volatility. Thank you guys all for joining. I really appreciate it. I will definitely get the video worked out, but so far you got 2 faces, just not all 15 of us. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. This is a lot of fun.
Right, no worries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Reach out if you guys need anything.
Will do.
See you, folks.